Eamon, but I'll do what I can for you here.
Pat, what about the conference? Do you really feel there is a wave of momentum that we're looking at a government in waiting from Labour?
Well, I go back a long way, Eamon. I've been coming to these events for many years, and I really do feel there's a great feeling at Labour conference this year. We've lost 4 elections in a row. I don't want to have to go back over that, but we've had a very bad time in being in opposition for a long time. And I think when we look at Friday and the budget that the Chancellor announced, we see a government that's taking huge risks with our economy. They're being reflected today in what's going on in the financial markets. And I think as the country looks at that, they will take another look at Labour. And the job for us this week and after the conference is to make sure that they like what they see, that they see a responsible party that's learned from some of the mistakes it's made, to be honest, over recent years, and has a different approach and can be trusted with running the country. That's our job this week, and it's our job after we leave Liverpool at the end of the conference too.
To be fair, I mean, Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng, have been planning this for an incredibly long time. You only have to look at Kwasi Kwarteng's book, which outlines a lot of these ideas. And, perhaps the shock and awe that there is some, method to the madness.
Well, there's a problem in writing a pamphlet or a book 10 years ago, and then you put it into practice, and it's no longer a seminar room or a little experiment. The stakes here are very, very high. We're talking today about the plunging value of our national currency. We're talking about the consequences of that and the pressure on the Bank of England to increase interest rates, which will put up everybody's mortgage rates. We're talking about how this is funded in the future. This isn't a pamphlet or a book anymore. This is the economy of a great country, and I think it's too important to run experiments with based on some kind of pamphlet that was written 10 years ago.
What we're getting to see is blue sky, at last, sort of, serious policy differences between yourself and the Conservatives here. We go to the front of the Daily Mirror today, and taking centre stage, the former footballer, the former Manchester United defender, Gary Neville here, and he says what they came forward with on Friday, tax cuts for the rich, he calls them, are immoral. Would you go that far?
Well, what they've done on Friday is effectively ask my constituents in Wolverhampton. They're borrowing from my constituents and many other communities like that in order to fund a tax cut for people earning more than £150,000 a year. I remember we used to talk about levelling up. This is the opposite of levelling up. It is taking from people in my constituency to fund a tax cut for people earning that amount. So we do believe that's wrong, and that's why Keir Starmer came out yesterday and said that's the wrong priority. We won't go ahead with that. We've nothing against a tax cut for people earning ordinary wages. We do have some concerns about the borrowing for this and how it's being funded, but we will keep the tax cut that was announced for people on normal incomes. But we don't think it's right to ask the people of Wolverhampton or Liverpool to pay for years and borrowing into the future to fund a tax cut for people who are already earning £150,000 a year. Now, Eamon, I don't believe in class war or in setting one part of the country against another, but I do believe in fairness, and I don't think it's right to fund a tax cut in that way. I also think it's not how economic growth comes. It doesn't just come from the very wealthy. If we're going to get economic growth in the country, it comes from the efforts of everybody, and that's the way that we should view tax, and that's the way that we should view the fairness in our economy that we need.
Just whilst you're talking, I can see the corner, I think, of a Union Jack flag there. We saw all of you singing yesterday the national anthem with helpful prompt cards for those that weren't so familiar with the words. What's with this sudden change of,
patriotism?
Patriotism, yes, adoption of these symbols. What's behind that?
Well, look, I think Labour's always been a patriotic party. It was Labour, for example, the Labour government after the war that helped establish NATO and the Western Alliance, which helps to keep us safe today. And I think everybody, no matter what your politics, was deeply moved by the passing of Her Majesty the Queen a couple of weeks ago, and it was right that we started our conference in the way that we did yesterday and sing the national anthem and remember the 70 years of service that the Queen gave to our country.